Want to know the secret winning poker tournaments? These are the 5 secrets that tournament poker pros all know and don't want you to know. But after today, you're going to be able to apply them. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, you're not going to want to miss these expert tips and tricks that can help you win big at the poker table. By the way, these are accumulated from both me playing professional poker in the past and many of the low, mid, and higher stake pros that I have access to. We went through, talked through some of their strategies, and I accumulated them into this video, and you're going to get these secrets today. Let's go. So let's jump into the 5 pro secrets that they don't want you to know about being a professional poker tournament player. Number 1, aggression is selectively used. Number 2, you have to constantly be running big bluffs. Number 3, bankroll management is key because it's very psychological. Number 4, each player type is different and you need to adjust your player accordingly. And number 5, understanding EV or expected value and making decisions based off EV in every scenario. Before we jump into these 5 secrets, make sure you like and subscribe down below. We do have a 5-part series, which is a fast poker tournament improvement bootcamp coming out. You're not going to be able to get it unless you get on the notification list when those videos come out. Not to mention it goes really far in helping boost the channel. If you like what you hear and you're improving your game, let me know down below. Give me some comments, but most importantly, it goes far with the YouTube algorithm if you will like and subscribe. Thank you so much. All right, let's jump straight in. So first, aggression is selectively used. One of the biggest misconceptions about poker is that you have to be like hyper aggressive all the time and that you need to be playing as many hands as possible. That can't be further from the truth. One of the major issues that you see, and I'll get into that in tip number 2 or in secret number 2, is you see on TV or even in videos condensed versions of people playing poker, and you see for dramatic effect just the biggest hands, the biggest bluffs, the aggressive, more captivating type of plays going on, because to be quite frank, watching poker isn't the most thrilling thing. So they need to add a level of drama in order for you to stay and continue watching. But it can't be further from the truth. In fact, if you watch, most of the best players are playing anywhere between, and this is on a conservative route, they're playing 15 to 20%. On the more aggressive route, they're playing 20 to, let's say, 35% of their hands and no more. That means about 70 to 80% of the time they're folding. Think that through for a second. So aggression is selective, and it's usually based off of game theory optimal ranges. Poker pros know this, and they only deviate when they start getting into different variations, and I'll cover that here in a couple of the different secrets, but aggression is selectively used. That leads me to tip number 2, that you have to constantly run big bluffs. Again, TV poker shows these really big bluffs, but what they don't show you is, let's say, the 5 hours of gameplay and reads and situational awareness that led up to running this big, huge bluff, because the poker player knows it's going to work in that situation against that player. It's just bluffing all the time is very bad on your bottom line. It can be an effective tool, but it's not the only way to win. In fact, most pros are going to tell you over bluffing is overrated. It's much more focused to focus on solid play and really good fundamentals, and then and only then once you understand the game dynamics to start venturing into bluffing. And you usually start with semi-bluffing, where you have some extraction or potential to make a really big hand, but you're not just outright leading into pots where you have no business doing it. TV poker is edited, it's entertaining, and it does not showcase realistic poker. Real poker is about making tough decisions. It's about like adapting to different table dynamics and staying focused for hours on end, not running big, huge bluffs that are going to wind up increasing your chip stack. Secret number 3, bankroll management is key. So we all know that we have to be profitably rolled in order to play in these tournaments and not run the risk of going to financial ruin. But what most people don't understand is the psychological impact that comes with playing way above your means. So if you're going in there and you're gambling a significant portion of your net worth, praying that you're going to wind up winning, well, you're definitely not acting like a pro, because most of the best pros are only cashing in 20% of their poker tournaments, which again, that means there's about 80% of losing. So if you're going in there taking a shot and risking half of your net worth on one poker tournament, well, 80% of the time you're going to be wrong. So that means you probably need to have about 100 buy-ins of whatever it is that you're playing sitting in your poker bankroll. And it's going to tip that psychological factor in your favor. You're going to be able to play longer. You're not going to feel like you have to win now and make really bad, unprofitable decisions. And it's just a professional approach to the game. Secret number 4, play each player type differently. So a lot of times amateur poker players come into poker and just start playing their game against all opponents and not taking into consideration the game dynamics of how different players play. Poker players, professional poker players, pay attention to how the different players are playing at the table. And obviously they start with a game theory optimal starting range, game theory optimal play and balance. But as they're playing against other pros, they're going to start picking up and noticing that they deviate because they're human beings from the optimal play, and they're going to utilize that selectively. One of the most dramatic change a player's approach and mindset can happen is when something really bad happens inside of the game, or even something really good happens inside of the game. Say somebody's on a really big winning streak and suddenly they're playing a lot more hands, or the other way around, they suddenly lose a really big hand where they get coolered and they probably should have won it. So suddenly they're trying to get all their chips back by deviating and trying to play every single hand after it. These are situations that poker pros can pick up on, understand, and selectively take advantage of. These dynamics are incredibly important. So it's important you study player types. Pay attention to how each one of these players is showing down. Don't just pay attention to the hands that you're in, but pay attention to the hands that you're not in, because all that information starts to add up into the most ideal game plan that you could play, especially as you start getting late in tournaments when you're paying attention to the people that don't know these secrets, that aren't over bluffing, that are playing way too aggressive, and you suddenly get a really big hand and you're in a very big spot where you can get all of their chips. Last but not least, one of the biggest secrets that you have to start thinking of all of your poker decisions on the felt in is expected value. Now, expected value, or EV, is the mathematical average outcome of a decision over the long term in poker. It's how to predict the profitability of a poker play long term. Now, when you start to think about expected value, you start to realize poker isn't just about winning or losing. It's about making profitable decisions long term. And unfortunately, there's going to be times that you take your pocket aces pre-flop, and against most hands, it is an 80% favorite to win, but that 20% winds up happening. So 80 times out of 100, you're going to wind up winning that poker spot, but 20 times out of 100, you might not. Now, variance might kick in, and you might wind up losing it, let's say 30 out of 100 times in a row, just because it's kind of how mathematical balance finds itself. But when you look at it long term, and you look at it over the course of, let's say, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million hands, you're going to see it deviating less from that 80% range and tilting more closer towards 80%. And knowing that this is how looking at each one of your hands, looking at each one of your spots as expected value in each spot, and making the decision based on whether or not it is profitable long-term in expected value or negative long-term in expected value, will be where you're going to make the most money long-term. Yes, you're going to lose in some spots. That is a profitable expected value spot. And if you don't even understand this, that's the first thing that you need to jump into and start grabbing something like Hold'em Resources Calculator, or I even have a link down below to GTO Wizard. Yes, I do get a affiliate kickback for it, but looking at each one of these solved spots and understanding, okay, if I call with pocket aces on a Queen Jack 10 board where the person has shown pre-flop aggression and post-flop aggression, and the likelihood of them having a straight already is pretty high, I might need to fold here. Your expected value in that negative EV situation would be a negative one, and making a better decision long term, but understanding it by studying it and consistently putting in the work is pro tip number 5 that will make you the most money. In fact, you'll be printing here in this point forward when you study expected value and apply it like a professional. So that's it for me. Let's recap these tips one more time. They are, the 5 secrets are aggression being selectively used, not having to constantly run big bluffs, being really good at bankroll management because it has huge psychological factors and financial factors. Also, playing each player type differently and deviating when you notice that you should, and understanding exactly what expected value is and studying and making decisions based off of expected value, not the profit or the wins and losses results. So make sure, if you haven't already, you like and subscribe down below. Also, stay tuned. I'm about to run a 5-part boot camp on how to improve in poker tournaments faster, but I'm going to only disclose this to people that are here in the Be the Shark Nation. And remember, be the shark, not the fish. Keep jumping in. Keep making sure that you show up. And if you want to run any of these spots by me, please feel free to find me on any of my socials down below, or you can even jump into my Discord. It's located down below. We are going to walk through the boot camp as a part of a group. So when I start releasing that 5-part series, I will get that disclosed to each one of you guys step by step and coach you through it. All right, guys, be the shark, not the fish. Catch you in the next video.